Well, welcome back. My special guest now on Focus today is the Reverend Robert Sirico, and our subject is defending the marketplace. He has been active in public policy and public affairs for more than 30 years, and he's co-founder of the Acton Institute for Study of Religion and Liberty. He's authored a book called Defending the Free Market, the Moral Case for Free Economy. This is fascinating because you didn't always think this way, right?
I sure didn't. I was in the early 1970s, was involved with the political left in California on the left coast. And I really had two conversions. One was my conversion politically, economically, and then the second was a conversion back to my faith, where I was raised a Christian, a Catholic, but I had drifted from it. The world went crazy in the 60s and 70s, I think. I went crazy with it, I'm sorry to say.
Well, I think we're all still in recovery, aren't we? Many of us who are of the same age.
I sure am. As we Catholics say, I'm still doing the penance.
Okay, well, all right. So why does free market protect the underprivileged?
Well, because when you think about it, the government doesn't produce anything itself. It's the market, the economy, free exchange. And one of the reasons that I think the market is worthy of defense is simply that we can better take care of the poor to the extent that we are more productive, economically speaking. If you look back over the last 150 or 200 years or so, and see the fact that most of the world's population is better off today than they were 1 or 2 or 3 generations back, the answer to that is that markets have globalized, that business has extended itself, not through government programs, not through the United Nations, not even through good charity, but through markets, through access to business, enterprise.
Mm. Well, as a former liberal, I'm just trying to figure out what helped you make this connection.
Well, I began to read some books. The first stage of this conversion was that somebody gave me some books to read that dealt with the question of private property. Oh. I had thought that private property was, the acquisition, the ability to retain physical things. But as I read a little more extensively, I realized that really what private property was the relationship that the human being has with the natural world. Mm. We bring our abilities, our intelligence, our knowledge, our risk, our courage to bear on the material world, that in the material world, natural resources are not wealth. Mm. That what wealth is the transformation of natural resources into human service. You see this in the oil industry, for example. Oil was mostly an annoyance for human history until the inventiveness of the human mind was able to produce the combustion engine and the various other technologies that make oil black gold, because it is energy. Mm. In that way, human creativity mixed with nature produces an abundance of wealth. And when I understood that the human person was at the center of this, it forced me to ask several other questions about who is man? Why do we exist? What is our origin? What is our destiny? And that's when I bumped back into God.
Oh, that's wonderful. So how do you connect the dots of somebody who would go out and start a business and how that may in time translate to helping the poor?
Well, first of all, a business helps people who need work. Hmm. So in its nature, what business does is employ people. The other part of business is that it provides services to people at costs and quality in a competitive market that people don't have access to. That's why people buy things from other people. So in those two ways, the very nature of business itself, before we get to the question of superfluous wealth and generosity and giving, before we even get there, we see that business helps those who are economically in one way or another disadvantaged by having jobs and having access to goods and services at lower prices. Then, of course, there's the superfluity of wealth, so that people have money that they can use for things other than just buying what they need or want, but of generously helping those who are indigent or in other ways in need.
As you probably know from your former thinking, that most of the culture and certainly the secular media says capitalism, free market is selfish, and it rapes the economy, and the fat boys just get fatter and the poor gets poorer. You've discovered that to be otherwise.
Well, otherwise, at least unnuanced, let's say.
Okay.
To say that in a capitalist society people are greedy is true. There are people who are greedy. There are also people who are greedy in the church. There are people who are greedy in socialist societies.
Sure. Right.
What I'm saying is that in capitalism, and it's not a word that I like, by the way, because I think it's too narrow in its focus. It's just focusing on this economic exchange. And what I'm trying to defend is a broader concept of the free society and the free economy. But even if we say in capitalism, people can only obtain what they can through enterprise, which means serving other people. And now that person who obtains that legitimately through enterprise may be motivated by greed, may not be motivated by greed. But I think it's too simplistic to say that it's just greed that animates people in a market economy. Creativity animates people, the thrill of risking, the inventiveness of the human heart and the human mind also motivates people. People will risk their entire income or their entire investment on an enterprise that they believe in because they believe in it. So it's too simplistic to say it's just greedy. In terms of making people worse off, I don't think that that's true either. I think that people often say, well, the rich are getting richer, and that's true, but also the poor are getting richer. And you see this again through the various studies that economists have done in the World Bank and other economic institutions.
Now, you, in studying this, are you seeing even within Christendom, the church begin to realize, wait a minute, we can handle poverty and human need a whole lot better than a government program? I mean, just this weekend here in Medford, the gospel mission here was blessed by the community. And I mean members of the community and those who own small businesses came in and put in a garden for them so they could grow their own vegetables. I mean, it was a community effort unlike anything we've ever seen. It seems to me that we're seeing this transition take place as the economy gets worse. More and more people are kicking in and helping each other.
You're absolutely right. But this is an ancient tradition among Christians. We've always done this, right from the beginning in the Acts of the Apostles. We saw needs being met, not by communism, but by people generously sharing of their wealth, more than their wealth, sharing their know-how. In fact, it was Christianity, I point this out in the book, it was Christianity that invented the hospital. Right. What we today know as the organized system of healthcare as a hospital was invented by Christianity, and other institutions such as orphanages and hospices and universities. So the religious inspiration is always there, and I think with the heavy intervention of government, we've kind of been lulled into thinking that, well, somebody else will take care of that need. I can just worry about myself and my family. I think it's really government intervention that can make us more selfish.
Well, so you argue in the book, free market is by far the most moral of economic systems in the world.
Well, it's certainly the most efficient. Whether it's more moral or not depends upon the people who are engaged in it.
Well, true, you're right.
But I think you have, the way I put it is we have a greater chance for morality than we do in a state-centered system. The fact that people are greedy and are affected by original sin and fallen and scarred is true. And that is true in a free market, that is true in a market dominated by government bureaucracy. The question is, what influence will sinners have in a free economy where they have to compete versus a command and control economy where they can issue edicts? I think we socialize sin in the command and control economy. And in the free economy, at least we have an opportunity to compete, to create cultures that produce societies that reverence human life. So I don't want to say that it's automatically the case that we're going to have moral people because we have a free society,
Right.
but I think we have a greater chance of it.
Why do you think smart charity is better than welfare?
I think smart charity is better than welfare because people know people. When I talk about this in the sense of the principle of subsidiarity. The principle of subsidiarity sounds like a fancy word, but it's common sense. Needs are best met at the most local level of their existence. And that is the kind of smart charity when you can look a person in the face or know a person and say, you know, this person doesn't need money from me. They don't need groceries from me. They need a good swift kick in the behind to get up and go and work. Or where you say, no, I know this woman. I know how hard she's had it, and her husband just died, and she has all these children. Let's get around her and see if we can come beside her and help her. So smart charity is charity where people know each other, where people respond as neighbors to neighbors in need, not just as bureaucrats who are manufacturing cookie-cutter programs to help people that they have no knowledge of.
All right, let me reach into your heart and squeeze it for a moment. Do you think we are beginning to sense the true value of human life, and we are working towards protecting the life of the unborn?
In our culture right now, no. I think in many ways, certainly our institutions are very hostile to the dignity of human life. And we place too high a priority on human beings being able to accommodate their own life and their own comfort, and we've disposed of human life by incredible numbers. At the same time that we see the numbers of abortions going down, because I think there's a greater consciousness of the personality and the personhood of the unborn child. So I think this is like everything else right now in our society. There's a real conflict at the core of our society because we've lost a sense of what the purpose of human life is. This, you know, you've identified the most important issue in the social discourse today, the dignity of human life and the protection of the unborn.
Yeah. Father, thank you for being with us. Again, it's Acton, ACTON.org is the website, and Acton Institute for Study of Religion and Liberty. And let me encourage you to check out the website and look for the book, Defending the Free Market, The Moral Case for a Free Economy. And this was put out by Rigoneri, is that right?
Regnery book, and it's available at bookstores everywhere and on Amazon.com.
Thank you so much, Father. Let's get you back.
I'd love to. Thank you very much.
All right, God bless you. Well, that's our program today. We'll see you next time on Focus Today.